Welcome to Chamber Talk, brought to you by North Orange County Chamber, where we explore the stories and insights of leaders, business owners and CEOs from various sectors who are making a difference in our community and region. Whether you're tuning in via podcast or joining us via video, we're glad to have you here. Hi, I'm your host Andrew Gregson, and today we're joined by someone whose life and work are all about courage, resilience, and helping people push past fear. Jill is a US Marine Corps veteran, a leadership development expert, founder of Breakthrough Leadership Group, and an author of The Science of Bravery. She spent a career blending psychology, neuroscience, and behavioral science to help people do hard things and love it. Jill, welcome to Chamber Talk.
Thank you for having me. Excited to be here.
So I wanted to start off with quite an easy question, really. And that's, let's go back a little bit and visit United States Marine Corps officer. What drew you to the Marines in the first place?
I grew up in the Midwest, a little town in Minnesota. And the reason why I decided to pursue a career in the Marine Corps is I was influenced by my parents in a way that might surprise you. Not that my parents were in the military and I wanted to follow their footsteps, but instead I saw both of my parents, they worked hard, but they had jobs that didn't really inspire them. They went to work to earn a paycheck, they dreaded Monday morning, and I was thinking, is that all that is to life? Like, I want a job that has meaning. And so I decided to apply for a full scholarship on the Marine Corps. So there's something called a ROTC scholarship or a naval ROTC scholarship, Marine option. And my parents didn't even know I was doing this, but I applied for the scholarship and I got it. And it was my ticket to go to school anywhere I wanted to.
Wow.
For free. So when you're in Minnesota, growing up in Minnesota, and you have an opportunity to see the world. So I went to the University of San Diego. I studied there, and at the end of 4 years, instead of looking for a job when you graduate college, I was commissioned as a second lieutenant in the Marine Corps. So that was my motivation.
And how many years did you spend in the Marine Corps?
5 years.
Wow, look at that. That's amazing. Did you go anywhere special?
Well, I had the distinct, pleasure of missing all of the action. And now that it's been so many years I've been out, I can look back and go, I was so fortunate. I was commissioned in 1996, right after the Gulf War ended. And I had gotten out in 2001, right before 9/11 happened. So I missed all of the action.
That chunk.
But, and of course you don't want... You don't want that. But imagine if you were training to be a doctor, to work in an emergency room, and you never get to practice your skills. So back then I was like, I never got to do my thing. So lots of training, lots of joint operations, but I did see the world. I was stationed in different places across the United States, but I went over to South Korea. I've been in the Middle East. We did some humanitarian assistance operations in East Timor. And when you get on a Navy ship and you sail, you steam over to the Middle East, you stop at lots of amazing places. So I've been able to see the world.
Can you share a defining moment in your service that taught you something that you still carry with you today?
Yeah, I would say it's those early years when I was going down the path to earn the title of Marine. So, and this connects with what I research today, which is bravery. So when I showed up in Southern California, got on a plane in Minnesota, heading to San Diego, California, excited, thinking that I had it all together. I earned the scholarship because I had the academics, I had the leadership, I had the physical fitness to earn this scholarship. And then I arrived. And everyone is lining up too. So when you go to college, usually freshmen, you show up a couple days early or a week early for orientation. But when you show up for ROTC, you show up another week early for ROTC orientation, which is like a little mini boot camp. So that's what I was arriving for. And everyone's lining up and they're separating people based on naval option, the people who are going into the Navy, and those of us that want the bigger challenge to go the Marine Corps route. So everyone's not signing up. Most people are going left over to the Navy side, and then you go right if you're a Marine Corps option. And I'm walking over to the right, and most of the Marines that were checking in were prior enlisted Marines, because enlisted Marines, when they have potential, can apply for a program where they can go to school and become an officer, so they're prior enlisted. So a lot of them were already Marines, so I'm looking around a little intimidated. There were some people like me, 18, checking in, but there were only 2 females, me and one other woman. I'm so glad there was another female there. And that first day, I put a lot of thought into my outfit. Realizing my error now. So I didn't want to wear jeans because I did some research, and officers don't wear jeans. So you didn't want to wear jeans like what normal kids do when you're 18.
Right.
And I didn't want to wear a dress because that would be too girly for Marines. So I decided to wear what back in, this is 1992, right? Back then, I thought was very professional. It was like these silk shorts that went to my knee because it was summer in San Diego. And then there was a matching like button-up shirt. They were hot pink with white polka dots. The shirt was white with a matching collar to match the shorts. And I wore like little pink pumps, like little ones, because I didn't want to go really high heel. And I even had the perfectly manicured nails to match.
She sort of did go girly.
Oh gosh, I guess I was too, it was way too girly. And so they just looked at me, just were going, oh boy, we're going to have our fun with her. And that first day I was told by one of the seniors that went to the school, someone I looked up to that was about to be commissioned. And he came up to me and kind of leaned over and kind of sneered, kind of laughed. He said, "You're never going to make it as a Marine."
Wow.
And so that was my day one.
Wow.
That was my day one. And at that moment, I had a choice. Do I keep showing up? I could go back to Minnesota, go to school there around people who love me. Like, why keep doing the hard thing? And I'd love to say that the next day I got better, but it got worse.
Right.
Next day, as Marines, it's a lot about physical fitness. So we did our first run. I thought I was in great shape. In Minnesota, it's flat. Southern California, hills. So the first run and the first run for the first year, I could not keep up to the pace of the male Marines that were prior enlisted, and it was very shameful. It was hard.
Right.
But the reason why this shaped me so much is I chose, do I choose the uncomfortable path, which is that brave step forward each day to keep moving forward, or would I choose to take a step back and go the comfortable route? And I think because my journey started off kind of so dire and it was so hard in the beginning, earning the title of United States Marine upon graduation meant even more to me. And, I think some people, when someone tells them they can't do it, some people believe it and they take that internally as self-talk. But for me, when someone tells me I can't do it, that fires me up. So I am actually thankful to this day that he said that, because in the hardest moments, what motivated me was to prove him wrong.
Right.
And someday to have that Eagle Globe and Anchor, and I have it on my necklace, and my Eagle Globe and Anchor, I still wear it today, to be able to, prove him wrong. And I never had that moment.
Right.
I never saw him again. I'm like,
I did it.
So the lesson, and the reason I bring up the story, is I feel like today, so many times when people face that kind of challenge, that they believe that the secret to happiness is to always be comfortable. So there is, I think the pendulum has shifted a little over to ease, comfort, removing challenges is what I want in life. And what inspired me to write the book, The Bravery Effect, is what happens to someone's success? What happens to their self-belief? What happens to their life satisfaction when they choose the hard path? And even though it's difficult, it's challenging, it's not fun, what is the impact on their life if they choose the hard path versus the easy path? So one of my greatest accomplishment was earning the title of United States Marine. And when I was in college too, I was pretty pitiful my whole freshman year. I think probably a lot of people were wondering, is she going to make it? But I kept showing up and I kept trying. And after a couple of years, then my confidence emerged as my fitness emerged, and I was able to keep up. In fact, the summer between my junior and senior year, all Marine Corps candidates to become an officer have to go to officer candidate school.
Right.
So everyone in my school that I had been with for 3 years, we all have to go to OCS in Quantico, Virginia. And every single thing at OCS, you get a score for, and you're ranked at the end of it. And one of my proudest things is the end of that. This is physical fitness, it's tests on leadership, it's everything. I actually came back, and I was the top finisher with the highest ranking in my unit, compared to even the enlisted Marines that were in the officer program. And that gave me such a sense of pride. So when it's hard and you're able to overcome, that is the bravery effect. When you choose to be brave, which I'll define later, instead of taking a step back, right? It has such a profound impact on your confidence, your psychology, and your well-being. So I'm on a mission to help people choose the uncomfortable path, be brave, not to make them uncomfortable, but I want them to have their best life and the best success.
So as you were going through university there, and I'm sorry, I don't know, because obviously I'm not from the United States, are you also doing your college work and also training for the military? So you're really doing 2 trainings as you're going through the whole 4 years or whatever, 3 years, is it?
So when someone is in ROTC, and I think this is for all services, but I can specifically speak to my experience as a NROTC, we were called midshipmen before we become an officer. So you go to college, and then once a week we wear a uniform around school, right? And we have classes, and we have to do things with our military unit.
Okay.
It's not until the summer that we actually go active duty and train. So pretty much you're really a regular college student.
Okay.
Think of it as almost like a fraternity you're part of. You're part of the club of the military. You got to wear your uniform and go to kind of extra meetings. But really you're just a student throughout the year. And it's in the summer then you go active duty for about 6 weeks each summer.
Right.
To actually train.
Do some train. Right. And obviously, you were saying fitness. I mean, fitness for a lot of people is different when you join the military anyway, and especially in elite service like the United States Marine Corps. What were the tricks that you were able to figure out as you were going through training to become better, and obviously one of the best?
Well, one of the really fortunate things that I can look back on and realize how fortunate I was going to school in San Diego. That is close to the Marine Corps Recruit Depot, MCRD, a base down in San Diego where Marines go through boot camp, enlisted Marines go through boot camp. So that training facility was super close to where my university was. In addition, there is the Navy SEAL base on Coronado. We had access to all of that training. So when I was 18, 19 years old, still trying to figure out how to be strong physically, my unit would always take us on these field trips where we had to go on base and do the obstacle course and do the Navy SEAL confidence course, which were terrifying to me. But one of the things that I now realize based on psychology, it's what Albert Bandura calls self-efficacy, your belief that you can do things. And, what he has found in his literature is the way you can really build self-confidence is not just believing I can do it, I can do it, I can do it. He goes, that's important that we have the right mindset so we can take the first step. He goes, but you actually have to do these mastery experiences where you go and you try to do something and you have a little success and then you try to do it again and you take these steps forward. So the point I'm getting at is in college, when I would go do these obstacle courses, I was terrified because I couldn't get over the wall. I couldn't climb the rope. But because we went back again and again, I ended up mastering those skills with repetition. And when you master the skills, then you feel, I can do that. You look in the mirror with pride. So Albert Bandura has this famous study. I nerd out on psychology because everything I talk about is evidence-based, so this is just the nerd in me. But Albert Bandura, when he discovered this, he actually took a bunch of patients who all had this intense fear of snakes. And he could spend all this time talking about mindset and talk to them about why snakes were not harmful, but it didn't help. He found, as he did his research, when he would show them a picture of a snake, and then he would show them a video of a snake, and then he would bring a snake into the room on the far side of the room, and then bring it closer, and then he would handle a snake in front of them, and eventually they would handle the snake. So it's these little steps, mastery experiences, that is what makes you overcome your fear.
Right.
And I had the fortunate experience of having that in college. And when I got to officer candidate school, or when I was commissioned and I went to Quantico for, it's called the basic school, I already mastered all that stuff. So I went into OCS. And then when I was commissioned and went out into the Marine Corps to lead, I had already built that confidence because I had already mastered those skills. Let me say that again. I felt fortunate because I had an opportunity to master those skills with repetition.
Now, we'll get onto it in a moment because I'm sure a lot of these skills that you learned back then is part of what has evolved into what you do today. But just before that, you said you got out in 2001, is that right?
I got out in 2001.
So what did you do between then and now? Like, did you jump straight into public speaking?
No. So I got out of the Marine Corps because I met the love of my life.
Oh, congratulations.
And he was not a Marine. He's actually the first man I dated that was not a Marine, and he's the one I fell in love with, and just decided that if I wanted to get married and start a family, I really wanted to be home and not be deploying all the time. So as I was getting out of the Marine Corps, I didn't know what I wanted to do. But there's all these recruiters that try to take junior officers because as a captain, they want to place you in a job because they want to make money as a recruiter.
Okay.
And I didn't know what I wanted to do. I thought I wanted to be a business consultant. That's what I wanted to be.
Right.
And they were like, "Have you ever thought of the pharmaceutical industry?" And I thought, I'm a captain of Marines. I don't want to be in sales. And what is with the medical field? No. And they just said, why don't you just practice your interviewing skills? I'm like, okay, I'll practice my interviewing skills. So I went to a couple of interviews. The second company that I interviewed with was Abbott Labs, and the hiring manager was a former Marine. So I ended up going down that route and fell in love with science. I love the industry. It's about partnering with doctors to elevate the quality of care. I absolutely love the industry, and I spent 15 years in the pharmaceutical, biotech, and device industry before I started my own company.
Wow.
Yeah.
So that's a great segue, starting your own company. So what made you sort of think about that and sort of structure it at the very beginning?
What really motivated me is I had gotten this really big promotion to be in charge of leadership development for our largest brand at Abbott Laboratories at the time. This job required me to be working in Chicago, but I lived here in Southern California. My husband at the time had opened up the first 2 Ashley furniture stores that are right here in Orange County. Now, when your husband has a brick and mortar store, it's kind of hard to say, hey, honey, let's just move to Chicago. So we made the decision that I would just fly into Chicago. So what really motivated me is I loved the work that I was doing. This is what I was meant to do. Leadership development was my calling. Loved doing it. But going to Chicago every week, I underestimated how hard it would be on the family.
Right.
And the reason I decided to make a change is I remember flying back home on a Friday. Sometimes I tear up when I tell the story, but I flew home on a Friday and I caught an earlier flight. And I surprised my young daughter, Brooke, to pick her up from kindergarten early. And so I pull up, and she gets in the car and she's like, Mommy, Mommy, Mommy. She's like surprised to see me, which was wonderful to have her be surprised. And she had a picture of the family that she showed me. So she shows me the picture of the family. And I'm not in it.
Because you weren't there.
I was gone so much, it didn't occur to her. And I'm like, well, where's Mommy? And she's like, oh, I forgot. It was just an innocent thing.
Sure.
It was one of those moments where I thought, one of those wonderful life-altering moments where you're like, okay, this is obviously bad,
right? But
I now have to make a choice. So I decided in that moment that I have to make a change. And I was really confident in the value I was bringing and doing leadership development. I'm like, I can do this on my own. So that was 11 years ago.
Wow. That
I decided to start Breakthrough Leadership Group. And my biggest client is the company I used to work for. And so I still do a lot of business. So I do the same work, but now I get to work with tons of companies. And it's been a really great step because I get to help smaller companies, Fortune 100 companies with different problems. And it's more of a challenge for me to help many different clients. So my company still does that today.
So as you were growing your business there, starting off sort of fresh, what sort of major challenges did you face 11 years ago?
Well, I had somewhat of an easy start. I have so many people that come up to me and say, I want to do what you're doing. Like, how do I get started? So one of the fortunate things for me is when I started my business, I already had a relationship with my former company, which had become AbbVie. Abbott split into two, and the AbbVie side. And they already said they wanted me to do leadership classes as an external. So I already had my biggest client.
Right.
So I had an easy start, and from there, it's about building your brand and differentiating what you bring to others. And one of the things I learned when I was like leading in the pharmaceutical sales region is you always have to differentiate your product. So one of the things that I did to differentiate me from other consultants is I always made sure everything I did was evidence-based. I mean, I learned in the pharmaceutical industry, you never make a claim unless it's based on evidence. So instead of just saying, I think you should lead this way, because that's what I did as a Marine, just yell at people. No, actually not. Don't do that.
Doesn't work.
So I became known as two different things so you have to figure out how to differentiate. How do you bring the most value? So everything I did was evidence-based. That was one thing that I took pride in. And then I really focused on trying to make the training that I did stick. So I would focus on not just a great workshop, but I would really work with the leaders on how can we make sure that the skills the leaders learned in the classroom with me translated to behaviors afterwards that would drive the bottom line.
Right.
So I really specialized in evidence-based, and I would spend more time with the clients afterwards to make sure that it stuck. Because I mean, really, the reason I'm there is to improve culture and drive results.
Right.
And so a lot of people who do leadership development training, they just want people to love the workshop. It doesn't really matter if they like or love the workshop. It matters if they're demonstrating the skills afterward to improve the culture and drive results. So
what do you think, I mean, is it, obviously bravery is a big part of this, but do you feel that a lot of things that are missing is people lead with fear, or is it, what do you see?
Yeah. Oh gosh. I think some of the most fundamental things or mistakes that leaders make is, one is the reason why people are promoted to a leadership position is usually they're the very, very best at being an individual contributor. They were so great at doing the thing, the job, that they get promoted to leader.
Thinking that they can replicate the same with the other team, right?
And when they're promoted to leader, they have no idea how to do the new job, because the new job is different. Your job is not to get the work done. Your job now is to lead people who are getting the work done. And they have to understand that the job is different. So when people are promoted and they're not taught how to lead, they automatically sometimes take over, tell everyone what to do. So that's where you get these accidental micromanagers. These leaders are not trying to be overly controlling. They just know how to do the job probably better than anyone else. And they give a lot of direction. So, I try to help leaders understand is your job is not to be the smartest person in the room. And I always use the concept of servant leadership. I learned that from Ken Blanchard, one of my mentors. And Ken wrote a book on servant leadership, and he always talks about it. But, I try to help leaders realize that your job is not to have your employees serve you. You need to make sure the strategy is clear, the mission of the company is clear, and the goals and their responsibilities on what they're going to do to contribute to the mission is very clear. But after you do that, then your whole job is to best serve your employees so that they can be successful and accomplish their goals.
Right.
And that little change in mindset, right, of going like, when you go to work each morning, I want you to ask yourself, what can I do today to make my employees more successful? If you help them be successful and win, then your company wins, right? So those are just some of the foundational things that I teach, when I have the pleasure of teaching new leaders. And I love when there's new leaders because they're usually like sponges and they're open to learning. I also spend time with executives, and that takes me a little bit longer. I feel like I got to take them through a boot camp because I need to break them down.
Right.
And tell them like, I know you're a really high position, but we need to start building from the basics.
You have to relearn almost.
We almost have to relearn.
Yeah.
I have to kind of, they say you need to check the ego at the door.
Learn how to jump that wall again. Keep practicing. Yeah. No, I get it.
Yeah.
It makes sense. So part of your work blends with psychology, neuroscience, and behavioral science. How do these disciplines really help people with what your teachings are?
Well, one thing I want to add is what I do in terms of leadership development just took a little bit of a different shift about 3.5 years ago when I decided to go back to school. So what we all need for our own happiness and well-being and our success is we need to keep growing and learning and growing. So I had been doing leadership development for 7 or 8 years with my own company, and I wanted to learn more. So I decided to go back to school, and I earned my master's in applied positive psychology at Penn. And first, I want to tell you what that means.
Yeah, I was going to say, what is applied?
What is applied positive psychology? Positive psychology is a scientific study of elevating happiness and well-being in individuals, teams, communities, and society. So it's not about helping people that are unhappy, depressed, or anxious become not miserable. It's taking individuals, peoples, and teams that have an okay life or an okay culture at work, and how do you bring it to a higher level? And the reason I study that is there's some researchers that have studied how does positive psychology impact business results when you can bring the two together, and I was fascinated.
Makes sense.
I'm like, this is all about culture. It's this emerging field. In fact, Sean Aker has this TED Talk, and that was the seed. I watched this TED Talk, and it's really entertaining. He's really funny. But he said, instead of thinking of achieving the goal as when you're going to be happy at work, he goes, actually, you have the happiness equation backwards. It's generating positive emotions on the journey to accomplish the goal. That's the rocket fuel that helps you achieve the goal. So that TEDx that I watched made me so interested, and I started reading. And so I went back to school, and I learned everything about positive psychology. I earned my master's. And the reason why I now focus on what I do now is I realized that fear, specifically in business, is sometimes what holds back leaders from achieving extraordinary results. And it also prevents people from having the careers they want. Now, the fear I'm talking about, this is not Marine Corps fear, like running into combat.
What?
Someone who never served in combat, I told you that. But I'm not talking about physical fear. This is social fear. The fear of failure, the fear of rejection, the fear of maybe stumbling. And that fear holds people back from achieving extraordinary results or taking their career to the next level. So that is what I specifically studied. So if fear was the thing that's really holding us back in businesses and in our careers, what can we do? What's the antidote? What is the antidote? And that led me to studying bravery.
Right.
So now I have taken a deep dive into bravery, talked to all the leading researchers, and that's really what my passion is now, is how do we help leaders not only demonstrate brave leadership, but also help their employees make sure that fear is not controlling their behavior.
That can have a huge effect on a business, can't it? If you're not prepared to step out or really, do something bold, then that can really hold a company back, can't it? Regardless of size of business.
Exactly. I think even, especially if you're a smaller business, uncertainty, like right now, we have more uncertainty. This is the number one thing I hear from talking to leaders all over our country.
Heard it this morning, yeah.
Uncertainty. So most people, when there's all this uncertainty, they freeze. Like they're just going to wait and see.
Got to keep going.
You need to keep moving.
Yeah.
I actually just finished an article today. It's going to come out in Forbes tomorrow that talks specifically about uncertainty. But, for anyone who does tend to freeze in uncertainty and fear, it's just because we're human.
Yeah.
But we have to learn to move forward in the presence of fear. Because if you wait, the companies that are going to be the most successful are going to be the ones that let me get as much information as I can and make the most educated step forward. But I have to keep moving. And just know that, as you take a step forward, you might need to make an adjustment. So take a step forward and another step forward. And then as new information comes about, or like in the Marine Corps, we would we have to go out and pursue the objective. We're going to take a couple steps forward. We're going to start moving toward the objective. But we know that any plan in the military is always going to change because the intelligence changes. So if you wait until you have all the perfect information, from a business perspective, you've waited too long and now you've lost the competitive edge.
100%.
So, I really challenge leaders to say when you've got 70% of the information, you need to move forward. If you wait until you have 80 or 90%,
you're already behind.
You've waited too long. So, and you know what? You might make a decision to start moving in a direction, but as long as you're looking for early signals, you might make a course correct. But that's a lot better than just waiting. I have an example. Small company. It was a small company. Now they're a large company. EOS Fitness is a fitness company. We have gyms here in Orange County. When the pandemic hit, so many fitness companies, they were forced to close down, right? And what EOS Fitness did, first of all, they made a decision to stay true to their mission, and they moved all their equipment outside so they could be in compliance and people could come into the gym. So that was an interesting thing instead of just closing down. The second thing the CEO of the company, Rich Drensberg, did, which was very impressive, with so much uncertainty, most gyms just wait and see. But he had a growth plan to take the company. He had all these plans for the company to grow. He kept signing leases. He kept the growth plans going, which was a risk, right? But he thought this pandemic is bad, but it's going to eventually go away. And so now, fastest growing chain of gyms in the country with over 150 million members because he didn't just wait and see, he didn't freeze. So we just have to remember to keep moving forward. It's going to be scary and you still have to move. And that's the definition of bravery, Andrew, is people think bravery is like, oh, when you're fearless. No, bravery is defined, and this is an academic definition from Dr. Cynthia Puri from Clemson University. It's voluntary action in the presence of fear toward a noble or worthwhile goal. So bravery is taking a step forward on shaky knees without all the perfect information. And these are skills that we can learn. So I work with companies to teach them how to do that, right? And your original question, it's taken me a long time to get around to it, but it draws from cognitive psychology. So how do we create the belief systems to make that possible? And then we go into behavioral psychology, which is teaching people how you can actually take a step, even though you have fear. So bravery is really being scared and doing it anyway. And then finally, social psychology. So there's some strategies in terms of social psychology that can make it easier for us to do the brave things.
So on that point there, that because you're also studying your students, so to speak, is there parts of when you're sharing and teaching people how to make these brave steps for them to recognize where they're maybe taking a back seat and they need to move forward, or?
Yes, absolutely. The people that go through my courses or people who are in the audience when I do keynotes across the country, that is a critical thing I need to have happen. I need them to realize that there are moments where they step back instead of step forward. And I say it this way provocatively because I just think it makes it more interesting. But when I'm speaking on the big stages, I will say there are a lot of moments in life. It might be when you're in a meeting and you want to share an idea. You have a choice right there. You're a little nervous. Do I raise my hand and share my idea, which is the brave move, or do I decide not to say anything, which is stepping back? Or I have to have the difficult conversation. Do I have the difficult conversation, or, oh, it's going to be uncomfortable, I decide not to? So one step is stepping forward, which is a brave step. And then the opposite is, and I ask the audience, and they will say, cowering. So, I want people to realize everyone has fear. There are some aspects of your life that you are stepping forward and you're being brave, but what are the moments where there's something you really want and you've been waiting until the timing is right. You've been waiting until you feel confident, until you feel ready. That is just an excuse for you to cower, to step back. I'm not calling anyone a coward.
No.
It's just the choice.
People would say play it safe. That'll be the word somebody would say, oh, I'm trying to play it safe.
Play it safe.
Right.
Play it safe. But playing it safe
You're
is
taking a step back.
they're taking a step back.
Yeah.
So, and I give a lot of, real examples, like maybe there's that promotion to a supervisor or to a leadership position that you've been hesitating imagine for a moment the compound effect if someone in their career decides to not share their idea, to not have the difficult conversation later in the week. A couple weeks later, they decide not to post for the promotion, and they keep making these little decisions to step back instead of step forward. Take that over a year, 3 years, 5 years, 10 years, and what does it do to their career?
Oh, it's huge, big step.
It's going to be a flat career. They may get promoted
Could have
eventually.
even got fired.
Yeah. Or maybe that. And the opposite is, that's what I'm so excited about, the bravery effect. When I teach people these skills, they take control of their career and their success.
Right.
Or their business is going to grow so much faster when they learn the skills of being brave. So when I think about the compound effect, my goal is, at the end of life, I want people to look back and not have regret.
I know. That's a big one, isn't it?
I should have. Oh, I should have done this. I should have. Shoulda. Don't.
Shoulda, coulda.
Shoulda, coulda.
Right.
Like, we just need to take those bold steps, and when you do, it's scary, but it's exhilarating.
Yeah, it is.
And Andrew, I'm living it right now.
No, I do every day. Because think about it. If I make a decision, I'll think, am I going to regret not doing it, or am I going to regret doing it? And that really is which way do I go?
That's a motivator.
Yeah.
And the strategy you described is actually one that's been studied in psychology. So let's just share this with everyone that's listening in. So when you're at that crossroads, do I do the hard thing or do I not do the hard thing? Ask yourself, will I regret this later? Or an easy thing is, they call it, what does yourself a year from now want you to do right now?
Right.
So do a little time travel in your mind. What does your future self
looking back want
you to do right now? And whatever that answer is, which is probably going to say, do it.
Right.
But that really helps, because
true.
you're looking forward and going, I don't want to regret this.
Yeah.
I'm going to do it.
Or another one is for companies, or, I'm just a steward of the chamber, but to me it's like, what's best for my membership and what's best for the organization? Take me out the equation. So even if it's uncomfortable, like you say, that's the better decision maker, because you're making the right decision in that way.
Yes.
So I know you've written a book. I purchased one on Amazon the other day, but it's not going to get here for a few days. Or hopefully it's going to be here for so I could get you to sign it. But I wanted to talk about that a little bit. First off, obviously the science of bravery. I want to know a little bit about what sparked the idea, and then after that, I would actually like to ask you, how hard is it to write books? But first off, what sparked it all off?
Okay, I just want to make a note too, because is it hard to write a book? And I want to talk about how I had to demonstrate a lot of bravery there. So what sparked the book is when I was studying positive psychology at the University of Pennsylvania. You have to learn about all aspects of positive psychology. And in general, there are 5 different things that we can do to create our best life, our most fulfilling life. And there's a famous acronym called PERMA. It comes from Marty Seligman. He's at Penn, and he's the father of positive psychology. P is positive emotion, feeling, joy, awe. That's very important, but it's 1/5 of positive psychology. Some people think that positive psychology is just feeling happy all the time. No, it's 1/5. So P in PERMA, then E is engagement, which is getting in the flow state, Csikszentmihalyi's research. 3, the R is relationships, the quality of our relationships. M is meaning, and A is accomplishment. What sparked my interest in bravery is A, accomplishment, which aligns to business owners, people in business, achieving something meaningful, accomplishing something with your business, the impact that your business has on your local community.
Right.
That is one of the drivers of our happiness and well-being. And in my field of positive psychology, I feel like accomplishment doesn't get enough attention.
Right.
When I go to conferences, it's all about positive emotions and relationships and all of these things, but there's not a lot of focus on accomplishment. But the evidence is clear. When we can accomplish something that's meaningful, that elevates our happiness and well-being. So I focused in on that which led me to what prevents people from accomplishing meaningful things.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Fear. So that's what put me down that road. And then it was my husband that came up with the aha moment, because I was talking about, like, here's all my research and here's what I found and businesses and all of this. And he's like, well, it really, it's bravery, right? So it's like, I have to give my husband credit for having the spark for my research on bravery. So just that conversation, with him, like, sparked that idea. Yeah.
So let's go back to what something you just wrote down too, because we were asking about it. How hard is it to write a book? Can't be easy.
It is so much harder than I thought it would be.
Right.
So one of the things I teach in the book, so if anyone buys the book, it's called the Bravery Effect, and you're going to learn all these strategies. So I had to apply this to myself. So writing a book was something that was scary for me. But what is bravery? It's taking voluntary action in the presence of fear toward a worthy goal. I wanted to write a book.
Right.
So I had to use everything that I teach. So the first thing I had to work on is making sure that I believe I can write a great book, right? So then you've got to overcome some of those self-limiting beliefs, use the power of yet, which is I'm not a great writer yet. So I had to work on believing that I can write this great book. The second thing that I teach in the book is what's called brave action, based on Roy Baumeister's research. He says you've got the best chances of doing hard things or the highest levels of cognitive function early in the day. So for me, writing the book, I had to do it early in the day when I had the most cognitive resources to do the hard work. A lot of times people wait and until they feel inspired or motivated to do it. Motivation is overrated. If you have a goal and it's something hard you have to do, you need to wake up and do it first thing. I call it attack the day. Mm-hmm. What do Marines do? We don't just wake up in the morning and everybody go, hey, we're gonna have some coffee, just see what we feel like. No, we don't do that. You have your goal, you have your mission, you decide to do the hardest thing first. So I would just have to have discipline about writing consistently early in the morning when I had the best chance of getting that done. Will you wait until the end of the day? People procrastinate and say, I'll do it tomorrow, and that's when things get... And then the last thing, and this was probably the most important that helped me reach my goal of writing a book, is what I call developing a brave tribe. So for all the business owners out there, if there's something you're seeking to do, maybe you want to promote your business on TikTok, and you're like, I have no idea how to do that, or it's scary. Or for me, I wanted to write a book, and I don't want to just self-publish any book that only my mom and my relatives will buy. I wanted to publish a book that was written as a parable that would hopefully, make a big impact in companies across not just our country, but the world. So if I want to develop a book that is that good, I should be brave enough to go up to people who have done that, approach them, and ask for help.
That's a good one.
And advice. So part of bravery is being vulnerable.
Yeah.
But sometimes people think, to be brave, I can do it myself. I can figure it out myself. That is stupid. Mm-hmm. Because you are going to take so much longer in order to get to the goal. So be smart, be brave enough to curate a brave tribe. So I had the pleasure of working with Ken Blanchard because I used to teach his programs in Fortune 100 companies. So I already had a relationship with him. And so I would always ask for his advice and help. I would not have this book written today without his mentorship, because when I was stuck, I would talk to him and he would tell me, Jill, I felt the exact same way in so many of my books. And when he tells me that, I'm like, oh, so I'm not the only one? This is normal? Oh, okay, that feels good. And then he'd say, what is the challenge? And my challenge would be when I get in front of the computer and I want to write, it just doesn't come out. I can talk all day about it. Right. It flows when I talk. But it's different when you type it, isn't it? So he says, Jill, he goes, I had that same problem. So I just use dictation. Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. And that little hint is what got me unstuck. Right. And so I was able to keep moving forward. So I don't know if I would have continued. I might have just said, I just can't write, mm-hmm, right? So I really want people to realize that surround yourself with people who have done the thing that you want to do. Like, who's successfully already done it? Get a couple of those mentors. Another mentor of mine is John Gordon. He wrote The Energy Bus, The Power of Positive Leadership, very successful author. So now that I've got different people that have done what I want to do, if you surround yourself with the people who have done that, they will encourage you encourage, the root word is to put courage, and courage means to place courage inside of you. So you want to be around people who will encourage you to keep going and will not allow you to quit and to tap out. But a lot of times we surround ourselves with the same people we always talk to, and they'll go like, this is stressing you out. Just, you don't need to do that. Surround yourself with the people that will hold you accountable and accomplish the goal, not the people that will say, why are you doing this? Let's just go watch TV or go to the bar. No. I want to surround myself with people who will hold me accountable and help me accomplish the goal. So that was something that really helped me. So writing the book was hard. And that's why I think getting it done makes it that much more exciting at the end.
Another accomplishment. And how long did the journey take you?
From start to finish, like a year and 9 months.
That's not bad, is it?
Well,
Darn.
I thought it would be faster than that.
I thought it would take longer than that.
Now, the research was done. So I have this picture of all of these stickies that were on my wall, like the concept of bravery, and then the three, so the research was done and all the ideas were there for the book, but actually to write it. So one thing is writing it and developing a manuscript and then choosing the right publisher. And then I had to be wise enough to listen to the publishers because the manuscript was done. So I was like, hey, it's done. Let's publish it. And they're like, whoa. Like, what are your goals with the book?
Right.
So you have to be smart enough to listen to people who are smarter than you. So when I chose the right publisher, then it's taken about 10 months to do it the right way. Like there's developmental editing that they do, and then copywriting, and then proofreading, and 2 rounds of each of that, and you have to market it, and there's so much more that goes into writing a book. But I told them I want to do it right. I want it to be high quality. I'm so proud of this book. It is. I feel like I've given birth to a 3rd child. I'm so excited for you to read it and everyone out there to read it. So yeah, it's been exciting.
So if you could pinpoint the book into one transformative takeaway, what do you think you would use?
I would say for people to realize that growth and comfort do not coexist. I really teach people in the book to choose discomfort on purpose. And if they can learn that, if that is their takeaway, then I think the book has done its job. And I think it's so important because I see sometimes the world through the lens of my 2 teenage daughters. Actually, one is 20 now, so I guess an 18-year-old and a 20-year-old. And I think that sometimes people don't realize that if they want their best life, that they should seek out challenging things. They should do the hard things. And discomfort is the path to live your best life. And all the psychology backs it up. So we do want to experience positive emotions, but we want to experience positive emotions on the path to accomplishing hard things. And sometimes it's going to be uncomfortable.
Right.
In fact, in the Marine Corps, we have this little phrase, and it's called embrace the suck. Have you ever heard of that?
No.
Marines say it. Navy SEALs say it. And in a way, there's so much wisdom in that. So sometimes things suck. It is hard. But I want people to learn, I want you to embrace it, because most people are going to quit. You want your business to be successful, keep pressing forward, because then your business or your career in the job, you are going to stand out. So if you can learn to embrace discomfort and get through it, and it's not just about accomplishing the result. The most exciting part to me, being the psychology girl, is who you become on the journey. That you will look in the mirror with so much pride, so much self-confidence, self-efficacy. That is the most beautiful part. So you're going to be more successful. You're going to achieve more. But you're going to elevate your happiness and well-being because you're living a life with pride and you don't have regret.
That was good. It's very deep.
It is.
Yeah.
It really is deep.
Yeah, it really goes deep, doesn't it?
Companies hire me because they're like, you can help affect the bottom line. I'm like, absolutely. But what I care about is even deeper than that.
Right,
and
of course.
Yeah, and the stories I hear, people that reach back out and tell me like how it made an impact on them at work, but also outside of work. It's just profound. That's really,
that's
the bravery
what pays you back, really, isn't it? Everything else you need, but that's what the real payback is.
And like any business, you want to make money. But any business, you should be striving to make a positive impact in the world in some way, right? Same with my business. I want to be profitable in my business, Breakthrough Leadership Group, but I want to do it because I want to make a positive impact on companies and the people.
Right. No, 100%. Talking now about the real world applications, obviously, if somebody reads the book, right, which they should, we encourage them to do that and learn a little bit more. And for those who are listening who feel stuck or afraid to make a big move, what's their very first step towards being braver?
The first step is
buy the book.
Just buy the book, pretty much. It's actually been interesting because a lot of people have read the book, and like I literally have a couple people that mean the world to me. Like I'll just read one of these. So. Lieutenant General Robert Milstead, a 3-star general in the Marine Corps. Like what he wrote is, as all Marines know, you need to get comfortable being uncomfortable. The best things in life are found on the other side of hard. This book will challenge you, and if you let it, it will change you. I only wish I had read it 40 years ago, even a 3-star general. So in the book, it goes through these core things. But the first thing is we need to change about how you think. That we first need to win the battle in your mind.
Right.
So many self-limiting beliefs are what hold people back. So we start there with cognitive psychology. And the most basic thing that I teach in the book, and people learn all these evidence-based skills in the book, is the power of 3 little letters and 1 word. And it's yet. Carol Dweck's groundbreaking research from Stanford University on growth mindset is helping people understand that instead of thinking like they have fixed skills and there's nothing they can do because they're just not good at it, instead of realizing that they can accomplish anything with hard work and effort. So using the word yet. So let me give you an example. Maybe someone says, for my business, for me to achieve my goals, I have to be better speaking in front of customers, audiences, etc., to take my business to the next level. But I just am not a good public speaker. Just add the word yet. I'm not a good public speaker yet. What does that word do? It opens a little door.
It does. It makes you say, all I could envision is a door opening just there.
A door just opened up. Like I could. It won't be easy. But I have a choice.
Right.
I have a choice. I can do it as long as I put effort and I practice, etc.
Sort of made me think that I could fail, but it's okay.
Exactly.
Because I'm going to get there.
They're going to get there. In fact, failure,
it's part of success,
is stepping stones to success.
Yeah.
You will fail early on. You're not going to be great. Like, be brave enough to suck at something.
Right.
Like, so we have to start on mindset. When people realize that, and sometimes I share stories with them, right? And of when other people that have been very successful started and they stumbled and they fell. So you just have to realize that it's possible. So we start with cognitive mindset. And what I teach my clients when I work with them is we go over the power of yet. We talk about how we can reframe stress to stress enhancing mindset. We do work on self-talk so that we're using positive self-talk instead of, having all these self-limiting beliefs go in our mind. We can change that. And then we talk about how to generate positive emotions in ourself so that we can best serve ourself and the people that we lead at work and our families. So that's all the cognitive psychology there. So that's really the first step. We start there. And the second step that follows is teaching people that despite all the cognitive work we'll do, you're still going to be scared and you still need to take a step. And that is normal. Most people think bravery is when the fear goes away. And I teach them, no, you should feel a little scared.
You almost need it.
You need it.
Yeah.
If you don't feel a little scared, it's not brave.
You're dangerous. You could be though, couldn't you? Because you're overconfident. You're overconfident and therefore could make a bad decision from doing that. Couldn't
True.
Potentially.
Yeah.
Potentially.
But you take the big goal and you break it down into tangible steps So like sometimes we say like, don't focus too much on the goal, focus on the behaviors that you need to demonstrate daily and your team needs to do in order to achieve the goal. So more of the focus needs to be on the action we take each day, that focus on the day-to-day, you are what you consistently do, that gets us to the goal. So we just teach people how to be comfortable taking that step forward. And then we talk about, the third step is, making sure that we surround ourselves with people that will make it easier. This comes from Ash's conformity, theory, where when you surround yourself with people that are challenging themselves and pushing the envelope, it just becomes the norm and you will do it too. So make sure you're surrounding yourself with people, like use this community here to surround yourself with other business owners that it's going to help build that community that's going to make you feel more confident to take those steps.
100%. I was reading on your... going totally off topic now. I was reading on your website, your motto was courage over regret. There's got to be a story behind that, isn't there?
It's just one of those phrases that I use for myself. As we were talking about earlier, that what motivates you is, I don't want to regret not taking action now. So for myself, I ask myself many times when I have to make a decision that it's hard to do or I'm a little bit scared. I'm like, I'm going to have courage today, or do I want to live with the pain of regret? So courage over regret. So it's just one of those mottos that motivates me to always lean in, always lean forward, a little bit uncomfortable all the time. And that's a sticker that I have, on my water bottle, and it motivates me each day. So courage over regret.
That live with the pain of regret, that hurts, doesn't it?
It does.
Think about that.
I want people to get uncomfortable. I want you to think about, imagine if you don't do the thing that you want to do. And how are you going to feel about it in 10 years? And I want you to say, how are you feeling? How will your life be? I want you to feel all that pain because it's going to motivate you. In bravery research, they found that is one of the best ways to help people take that step forward. Imagine the greater pain of not doing it.
Right.
It's what gives us the confidence to take the step.
It's almost going back to that guy telling you you're not going to make it.
Yeah.
Same type of thing, isn't it?
Exactly.
Motivator.
It's a motivator.
Motivator.
Yeah.
So Jill, this has been an inspiring and full practical with wisdom and everything. But before we wrap up, how can listeners connect with you and find out more about you?
I have a website, and if people go onto my website, I give away lots of stuff. There's a free bravery assessment. Well, my website is JillSchulman.com. So my first name is easy to spell, Jill, last name Schulman. So JillSchulman.com. If you go to my website, there's all kinds of free resources that people can download for free. They can take the bravery assessment, which really measures how are they on the cognitive side of bravery, on the behavioral side, and on the social side. So they get, and then they get a free bravery blueprint, which gives them evidence-based tips to apply exactly what we've talked about. So they just get that for free. Right. You can also sign up for my newsletter. So every month I can give you more tips, more evidence. So that's just my website. And then I'm all over social media. So LinkedIn is kind of my primary everyone here is in business, so please connect with me or follow me on LinkedIn because we all need these little reminders, right? So every day I commit for all the people who follow me to do a little post that just gives you that little nudge to help you make the decision to be brave versus step forward instead of step back. So it can be a stoic quote. It can be a story from, a business owner. Maybe I'll start featuring some of the stories that we find out from here. But I'm always just giving little things to my audience to help them take that brave step each day.
So Jill, we've reached the moment in today's episode where we always ask our guests if they would like to share a final word or two, or maybe there's something we've missed. So your free time for the free mic.
Okay. What comes to mind is, everything we've talked about and everything that's in the book is really designed to help individuals and their businesses be more successful, to apply this to themselves. But I want to talk for just a moment about parenting.
That's a good one.
And how this applies to how we parent. In today's world, there is a shift toward parents, and myself included, wanting to be so helpful to our sons and daughters that we want to remove challenges. that we want to make them happy, so we want to remove all discomfort. But when we do that, we make them weaker. In the literature, they call this the coddling effect. So as I've done this research, I have realized that there's times where when my kids were experiencing some type of adversity, you just want to make them happy. So you want to come in and you want to take away the adversity. So what I've learned, and this comes from a researcher, a psychologist at the University of Texas, Austin, and what he has written about is instead of taking away the adversity or lowering the standard to make your kids happier, instead, as parents, we need to help our children rise to the occasion. So don't remove the challenge, but we should come in lovingly and supportingly help them meet the challenge so that they can learn these skills of being brave, so they can feel capable. So I think that's what's on my mind now. And I think part of the reason I wrote the book is for my daughters to read. It's dedicated to my daughters. But we as parents need to learn, how do we teach our children to be brave?
Right.
And please, I emphatically encourage, if you're a parent, please read this book. The main character in the story does have a child here. And we need to help our kids realize this, that a path to happiness is not just comfort. So we need to help them make the choice to try to accomplish hard things. And when they're struggling, be there to encourage them, not allow them to tap out.
That's good. That was a good ending, that, Jill. Well done. So, Jill, thank you very much for joining us today in Chamber Talk. And, well, thank you.
Yes, it was a pleasure. I enjoyed the conversation.
Thank you, listeners, for tuning in to Chamber Talk. Until next time, stay inspired and connected by visiting nocchamber.com and selecting Sign Up for News at the homepage. For more interviews, visit chambertalk.podbean.com.